Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and this time I'm playing in the Tier 9 auto-reloading Italian medium tank. It is the Standard B, and those of you who might have heard a familiar voice during the introduction there by the commander, this is actually Gianluigi Buffon, the famous Italian goalkeeper. Now Wargaming gave everybody, well at least on the European server, all you had to do I think was log in and play a game. But I think on all of the other servers you actually had to do a series of missions to get Buffon, and he's unique in the game because he comes with Sixth Sense for free, and it doesn't even count as a skill. So that means that I've replaced like a 4-skill Italian commander that I think I ended up dumping like 120,000 experience on just to be able to get like a couple of skills on him as quickly as possible. Immediately. Now Gianluigi has managed to get up to about 5 skills, I think, thanks to Wargaming's awesome frontline game mode, which has been crazy for crew training, as well as also making credits for me. Now, the Standard B, a vehicle that I was really excited to get into, because of course we all got to taste the auto-reloading mechanics with the Progetto 46, right? The Tier 8 premium Italian medium tank that I did quite a lot of the Italian challenge. I think I did 70% of it, so I got a really nice discount on that premium vehicle, and that was it was probably one of the best kind of bundles that I think I've ever bought from Wargaming. I felt like it was fairly priced, but obviously I had to play the game a lot to be able to get it for that price. Now, the Progetto 46, it's a great tank. There are a few things that I don't like about the Progetto 46, however. While the penetration is good, it's not incredible at Tier 8, and now everybody knows that Tier 8 matchmaking is just so horrific and you have to deal with so many Tier 10 tanks. You know, that 212mm of penetration feels very awkward when you're engaging higher tiered opponents. And furthermore, it's incredibly frustrating to be playing that tank and then not being able to reload premium shells individually, and you just have to reload the entire magazine to get in some APCR shells for when you want to have to deal with maybe that like E75 in front of you who's on 200 hit points. And so that was driving me mad. But one thing that's great about the Standard B, however, is that it has, wow, really good penetration. It's pretty much like an auto-reloading Leopard. It's got 268mm of APCR pen, and if you dab that 2 key, you have 330. And also Hesh rounds on this tank if you do feel like you want to load high explosive rounds, and I'm progressively taking more and more in this tank as I'm finding them quite useful. You have 105mm of penetration, and your alpha damage goes up from 360 up to 440. Now, I've really been enjoying this tank as well because you've got that great penetration, you've got the shell velocity as well, so you can snipe accurately. You just got a bigger magazine, although it takes 3 seconds delay between each of the shells, so you're going to take, gosh, you're going to take 6 seconds to fire off this entire magazine, while something like a Progetto 46 is going to fire off all of its rounds within 4 seconds, which is absolutely crazy. Now, another thing that I quite liked about this vehicle compared to the Progetto is that the Progetto is kind of a 2-round bursty tank. You pop up, you fire 2 rounds, and then you fall back. And the reason for that is that the Progetto actually doesn't really have much of a difference on its reload, irrelevant if you've got 2 shells left or if you've got 1 shell left. So you might as well fire the second shell because it's only an extra second effectively, and you can get a whole extra shot off. For the Standard B, however, it's much more linear. The first reload takes 11 seconds, then if you've only got 1 shell left in the tank, it will take 13 seconds. If you've got no shells left in the vehicle, it's going to take 15 seconds. So that's not so much, it's not so punishing, and so I just feel like I just shoot when I'm going to get a kill, or alternatively, I try to still use that third shot to confirm kills, or when I really think that I'm not going to get to fire for a little while. Now we're playing on Erlenberg Encounter here, a map which, actually taking that southwest corner is quite challenging so far. Up until this point, or at least up until 1.0.2, because Wargaming are doing some significant changes to that part of the map on the test server. There's a whole new rock that's located right here, and there's also an extra building around this corner, and so it's going to be much easier to progress through that flank. But nevertheless, it doesn't feel like I had too much of a problem in that scenario. And this is where you really want to be in your Standard B, unloading into the side of an E75. And it feels even more satisfying when there is Super Unicorn on the enemy team, right? So now we're the only one remaining in this battle, and a nice flanking assassination there. Now we take 1 round in the side from a T-54 who's in the southeast corner, so I've got to watch out for him. And also, I've also got to be a little bit careful because That E75 was in a platoon with an Object 430, but also a T10. Now, is it this T10 that he's in a platoon with? No, it's not. Okay, this is the other T10 on the enemy team. So I've got to be careful that maybe like his friend who was in the platoon with him might be thinking about dealing with the prototype that's on the flank and really starting to pick up some kills. 5 kills in here. And this is really what you want to be doing in this tank. You just want to go up, fire off your shells, pull back, and you've got the flexibility to play it like a single shot tank. You'll see that earlier while I wasn't discussing it in great detail, that I sometimes wasn't firing the extra shell because I didn't want to lower my damage per minute to a point where I was unable to cut my way out of the scenario, or more importantly, of the bat Chatillon. Okay, so this T10 in the platoon from that E75 is bearing down upon us, and I make a pretty calculated decision there. I lose my ammo rack and I lose my tracks, but I'm like, okay, I don't really need my ammo rack right now. I've got an auto reloader, so I can still unload my shells just as quickly as if I wasn't ammo racked. But if I sit up there with my track off and I repair my ammo rack, then the lightly armored Standard B is just going to go annihilated by the T-54. And so it's, you know, it's that age-old question of like, do you need your left leg or your right leg? Well, hopefully you can have both, and I guess if you just pay Wargaming extra credits and have the large repair kits, then you don't really have to decide about either repairing your ammo rack or your track. You can just do both at the same time. Yeah, the pay-to-win elements of this game are a bit amusing. But, you know, I like to play with the small repair kits and the small med kits because I like to try and save up as many credits as possible, even with the frontline game mode. And so you've just got to make, hopefully, the best decision as quickly as possible. I'm quite happy that I was able to react to that. Especially this was played, I think, right at the end of my stream. I think it was of Thursday. Last week, this week, I guess it's this week because Sunday is the final day of the week. So yeah, it was right late at night and I was thinking usually I'd just be like, some kind of zombie. But I was quite chuffed about that one. So handling under pressure, you know, keeping cool, making the right decisions can hopefully allow me now to go on this game and try and push on to see how many more kills we can get. There are 5 remaining enemy vehicles and we're on 6. How many we're going to pick up, or we're just going to have to wait and see. But it's not going to be that easy. Obviously there's this T-54 flanking and I kind of killed some time a little bit there. Not with my commentary as such, but during the game, just to be able to wait those 90 seconds to get the repair kit usable again, so I can get my repair, so I can get my ammo rack fixed, and so now I feel like my tanks are full operation. Well, it's fully operational. Okay, so now we're going to flank the 705, and whoop, off with his head. Good stuff there. Tier 9 Soviet heavy tanks are not doing too well against me this game. I think that's the third Tier 9 Soviet heavy tank we've managed to cleanse. And now I'm just thinking about trying to assist against this 257, but another 257 is coming around the corner, and I'm thinking, okay, get back as quickly as possible. Okay, let's just hide in here, and hopefully he won't see us. He won't see us if we do this, right? Okay, we put 1 into him. I'm going to put a 2nd into him. And I try to pull back around the corner now before the 3rd, but he actually overmatches the side of my tank, so watch out for that on this vehicle. It only has 25mm of side armor, and so that means that all 76mm caliber guns will go through the side of this vehicle every single time. The 257, however, misses the shell, and we poke round, and we put 1 into his front plate, picking up our 8th kill of the game, and now up to 6,400 damage that we've seen. Are we going to be able to do some more to this T-54? We'll have to see in just a second. That's the one that we were shooting at earlier, who was shooting us in the flank as well. My team are finishing off the cap circle, and I'm really worried about this Standard B up on the hill, whether they're going to be able to shoot me or not. Cameron, okay, the Foch is now going to be charging after the T-54. T-54 is looking at me, however, he clearly wants to take me out, but the T-54 pushes him around the corner, but the T-10 manages to react a little bit before I do. And the cap circle is going to run out, and the enemy Standard B doesn't even manage to get spotted, so swines, we don't manage to pick up that 9th kill. But still, an all-round great performance for the Standard B because we raced into position early on. We worked the Ridgeline. We got some view range for our team. We put the pressure on them, and we just stopped them from camping. That's one of the most awful things about this flank so far on Erlenberg, is when the enemies just decide to dig in along this ridge, because this has just been a gigantic kill zone so far. And so that's what's great, that Wargaming are putting in a building here, and they're also giving you an extra rock to provide you with some cover here, so it does encourage you to make an aggressive play. And when you go at 65 kilometers an hour like you do in the Tier 9 Italian medium tank, you have the speed to make those aggressive plays, and you've also got the 10 degrees of gun depression for when you get there to be able to work the ridge line. And I tell you what, This tank, I have been really enjoying it. I was very worried about the high tier Italian medium tanks because you know me. I'm a stat junkie. I love my damage per minute. And when I saw something like this, less than 2,000 on a medium tank, whereas when we go over here and we kind of take a look at what the tier 9 medium tanks are going to be packing out, like the M46, 2,600, that's like a third more. I was thinking, oh, this vehicle, it's not really going to be all that good just purely because you can't shoot your way out of the scenario. And yeah, sometimes you do have just relentless pressure from the enemy team and you're unable to really deal with it. But more often than not, if you're calm, you're calculated, and you get into positions before you need to be there, or more importantly, you're able to run away before you're going to have to deal with an unconquerable amount of enemy forces with the low amount of DPM that this tank has, it kind of doesn't really matter. And there's a lot of other aspects to this vehicle that have made it very pleasurable for me to play. Now, I'm not saying that this vehicle is going to be everybody's cup of tea, but at least for me, it's definitely been one of the most fun tanks I've played in the game recently. And for that, we nail our ace tanker in this vehicle. We get a Radley Walters medal for those 8 kills. And we actually, looks like we fired a shell blind there because we did 6,819 damage, giving us a high caliber. Most of that dealt at long range, so it was a tank sniper. And of course, this vehicle doesn't bounce anything, so don't expect it to have very good armor. And I don't think I fired any heat rounds here. So we actually make a very decent profit, although keep in mind I was using a 50% credit booster that I was using in the frontline game mode just before this round. And so a lot of you are probably asking, well, I've got myself the Progetto 46. The Pantera really doesn't look special compared to the Progetto 46. Is it worth playing all the way through the Italian medium tanks to be able to get towards a tier 9 in the tier 10? Well, I can't exactly answer that for the tier 10. Stay tuned to the channel as I will be unlocking that vehicle probably in this month. I should be unlocking that in June, and as soon as I have done, I'll try and get some gameplay or at least a tank review up on the channel for you. But if I feel the same way about the Progetto 65 that I do about the Standard B, at least for me and somebody who's played a lot of different tanks and is looking for something that feels completely different when you're just wanting to play a medium on an evening, then I'd say yes, it probably is worth at least slowly making your way up towards the tier 9 Italian medium tank. And so that's it for today, ladies and gents. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. But if you didn't, make sure you give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it's released on Sunday, it's time for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And because, at least on the European server, the Super Conqueror just became the top of the tree tank, and you can get it at a 30% discount and all of the vehicles underneath it. I don't think there's any better time than to do a Super Conqueror Tech Tree Showcase. So come along right now as I start at tier 1 and work my way up towards possibly the best Ridgeline heavy tank in the game. And if you've never been to one of my Tech Tree Showcases before, they're basically like miniature tank reviews all the way up, so you can see if it's a line that's maybe worth grinding, or alternatively, if you already have the vehicles, maybe pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.